All right, let's get to it. So today we will be talking a bit about sales strategy and sales map. So before we get into that, I wanted to cover some basic terminology and jargon so that we all are on the same page. Quickly, what exactly is a sales strategy or sales map? So a sales strategy or map is basically the high-level plan that you're using to get to your end goal. So that includes everything. So it will include the structure of how you structure the sales organization, your sales team, your compensation, campaigns that you'll run, activities that you'll do, etc. Next level down, then you have sales methods or methodologies. Basically, sales methods are developed through sales training. They help improve the efficiency of your sales, and it's kind of a skill that you build over time. They are basically frameworks or styles of selling. So for example, spin selling or challenger sales, right? And then the next level down, then we have sales processes. Processes are basically individual or specific workflows or actions or funnels that help get your customer to the end goal. They are like a sequence of events or steps that you take to get them there. And then of course you have sales techniques. Techniques are individual tools that you use to get a specific task done. So for example, you have closing techniques. How do you close a customer? So for example, alternate choice close, do you prefer this in black or white? Or things like assumptive close, let's get you set up right away, things like that. And then you have other things like trial closing techniques, where it's more about figuring out if the customer is ready to buy. How do you get them across the line, things like that. So those are some of the terminologies that we want to understand. And then let's talk a bit about sales strategy. So fortunately, sales strategy is not as complicated as you think. First off, I wanted to show you everything that you need to put in place so that you can kind of see what's going to happen throughout the next series of videos and what we're going to be talking about. So I'll just quickly share my screen. There we go. So what we want to look at is, if you look at the foundation of sales, first off, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify the customer persona. I won't be talking too much about that, but I'll give you some other interesting techniques. And then once you know your target customer, you understand them, you understand the process, their mindset, you want to start building funnels that you can put your customer through. And then as you create those funnels, then the next step is to prospect or create leads. So you want to fill the funnel then. So create the top of the funnel. And then once you fill the funnel, then you'll start to create the copy. So I'll say copy because it's a bit broader than just a script that you use in person or through a phone call. And all of this copy will cover how you get a customer from understanding phase all the way to closing them as a customer. And then at the tail end of it, you have, of course, upselling, cross-selling, and account management, keeping them as happy customers. So that's in general the whole workflow that you'll be going through. So what I want to talk about is the act of gradualization. So what is gradualization? So gradualization is basically the concept that sales is not a single transaction. It is a process. People make this mistake oftentimes. They try to convert a customer within a single interaction. So like within a call, within a demo. And what will happen is it results in a pushy sales because your customer is not actually ready to buy it. So you're making the offer too soon. So you want to acknowledge that sales is a gradual process. It happens throughout the marketing aspect of it and also the sales part of it. So this is why marketing is so closely tied into sales and feeds into sales. And another common principle that you might have heard of viewing in sales is the principle of sales advancement. So getting the customer to the next stage in the decision-making process. So what you want to do with the gradualization technique is, first off, sit down, do this with your team, get out a pen and paper or a whiteboard, and you want to basically map out what is the series of realizations that my customer has to go through in order to want to use my product or services, with the final realization being, I should give you my money to get this solution right now. So a great example, and this technique was actually taught to me by my accountability buddy, Steven Zhao. So if you're interested in learning more about him, I've posted a link to his profile down in the video description below. So Steven is a copywriter. So he gives this example of, if you're trying to run or sell a social media training program, this could be a series of realizations that a customer has to go through. First, they have to realize that what I'm doing right now is not working. So I'm not getting the amount of leads. Maybe it's not repeatable enough for a sales process. I need to then believe that there's a better way of getting leads and closing sales. I need to then believe that of all the different options, social media is probably that better way that I need to go with. And then I need to believe that with social media, I can actually build a sustainable business that is able to generate 6 figures a year, things like that. And then now that I believe social media is the right choice, I need to then believe that your social media program is the right program for me. It's the best option for getting the results that I'm hoping for. I need to then believe that your program is the easiest and fastest compared to all the other programs out there. And then I need to believe that I need to do this now and I shouldn't wait. So your goal is to walk your customer through this series of realizations. Sometimes a customer might come in at a stage where they already realize that they have a problem. They already realize that social media is a solution. Then you just have to bring them through the latter half of the funnel, right? So run this as an exercise. Every product, every service will be slightly different, but your goal is to map out the series of realizations that your customer has to go through in order to want to use your product or service. I need to believe XYZ, I need to believe XYZ. So do that, and then come back to this video again. So we can take a pause there. So now that you have done that, I wanted to introduce the sales map. So I'll share my screen again. Basically, this is what the sales map looks like. And it's actually built on top of the foundation of the awareness, consideration, decision, and close stages that HubSpot defines. So this is kind of a rough document that I'm using. I'm sorry if it doesn't look very pretty, but basically the goal is, and to give you some insight on the different stages, it's very closely aligned with the gradualization exercise. Awareness is the stage where it's top of funnel. It's where your customers are trying to get aware of the problem that they have, not aware of your solution. They're trying to become aware of the problem that they have, that things don't work, that they're starting to seek out solutions, right? Consideration is when they are seeking out specific solutions to that problem that I mentioned at the start, not consideration of your solution. And then decision is when they start to consider decisions, providers, being and different products and services. So your product or service or your offering is included in this decision stage. And then closing is how do you actually close your customers. I won't touch too heavily on that, pretty straightforward. So basically what you're doing is at each of those stages, you want to write down the questions that your prospects or your customers are asking at those stages. So if you've done the gradualization exercise, you should be able to figure out those questions pretty easily. Then highlight what key terms or keywords are being used at each of those stages. So to give you a quick example, if HubSpot were to use this themselves, awareness of the problem might be, first off, I need to become aware that I'm not getting repeatable sales, or there is no engine that is giving me top of funnel. And then I need to first understand what exactly is inbound marketing. So they might create content that's around those pieces. They might create content or blog posts that's related to what is inbound marketing? What strategies fall under inbound marketing? How can I create a top of funnel strategy, things like that. So those will be all awareness level content. And then at the consideration stage, they're starting to look for specific solutions. So now that I understand inbound marketing, I might say, how do I create an email campaign? Or how do I design a landing page? How do I create a webinar funnel? Things like that. So then they might run tutorials, videos, workshops that are related to that. And then at the decision-making stage, a customer might be asking, what is the best email marketing client? So should I use MailChimp? Should I use ActiveCampaigns? Things like that. Or it might be, how do what are the different options that I can use to design a landing page? So those are decision level questions. So now that you've identified the questions, then your next step is to map out what tools you'll use to convert the customers. And different tools will work better in different stages. So for example, you wouldn't use a blog post to try to close a customer. Your blog post will happen more early along. And if you notice, tools that work very well in the early stages will be tools that are educational in nature. So you might have events, webinars, blogs, workshops. And then if you're trying to convert someone into a consideration level stage, that's where you get more specific. So you'll run like webinars, tutorial videos, it might be guides that you create. In the decision stage, then you'll start to compare different solutions. You might say, top CRM tools to use, things like that. And then, of course, once you've identified the different tools that you want to use, you want to map out the different call to actions at those different stages as well. So a good call to action in the awareness stage will be learn more or read this next article. You don't want to say buy now if someone's still trying to learn more about the problem. And then, for example, in the consideration stage, what we might be using is, book a consultation session or read this case study. And then when they're at the decision level stage, it might be, come in for an interview or come in, book a demo. And then at the close stage, it will be setting up payment, put down a deposit or signing up, things like that. So then once you've mapped out all the different stages, you have all the tools, you have all the call to actions, you can start to assign targets that you have, and you can create a rough launch plan. So this is what a rough launch plan could look like. I'll have different to-dos. We'll create blog posts. We'll create landing pages. Each of them will have different call to actions, and then what's the follow-up for each of them. So you can start to create your individual funnels based on this high-level sales map. So get started with this. I will share the link to this template in the video description down below.